Hi friends, it's Lauren. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. I'm grateful to have you here for a Fandom Friday video. This week I'm featuring the brand new stamp set from Kindred Stamps released right now, 8 a.m. Pacific time. I'm using the Pop Trio stamp set. I was so excited to get this set. When I saw that it was going to be available this month, I was like, please pick me to create with this stamp set. So I'm going to stamp all of the images. I'm using my Onyx black ink from the Sassy Club on some Express It white cardstock. And I'm going to stamp these a couple times just to make sure I get a really good image stamped for all of my images. I'm only going to color the three Pop Trio characters in today's video. I will have a video showing how I colored the other two images, the critters, on my membership side. So if you are a member of my YouTube channel, you can see additional coloring over there. So I'm starting with my first girl here, and I'm going to use more like orangey, orange reds for her hair. I did color her once, as you can see to the left, well, above now as I've turned my paper, but to the left, I was coloring her skin tone, her face in, and I smeared her eyelashes everywhere, and I was kind of sad about it. It wasn't really like drying back how I wanted, so I was like, let's just color or stamp her again, color her hair again, no big deal. So I am using O 2.7 as my darkest shade, and then I will bring in O 2.5 to be the mid-tone. I am going to bring in an OR color after because I want her hair to look more pinky orangey red than just like straight orange. So these are my color combos that I picked for her hair. I think it did a pretty good job. I was just, had the images up on my computer and was doing my best to capture her color hair. I think hers was the hardest to really get. So for my last color, I did OR 2.3, and I think it did a pretty good job. I think bringing in this OR color brought in more of that pinky orange look, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So I'll finish coloring in her hair, and then I'm going to move on to skin tone, and I'm just going to show her the skin tone combination because I used it for all three girls. And I'm starting with OR 3.2, and I'm adding this as a shadow just under her hair, her ears, her neck, her arms and legs. I'm going to accidentally forget to color her stomach because she's wearing a cute little crop top, but I'll get that later, but it's the same combination. I then brought in OR 4.2, which is also kind of a, not really darker shade, but darker of what I'm using, and just added a little bit more to the shadows. And then I'm bringing in OR 2.1, and I'm going to fully color in her face. I do think it's a little on the not enough shadow. It's a little too light. So after I'm done coloring in with this marker, I'm going to bring back in one of my darker shades and just try to darken up her cheeks a little bit. So I've got 3.2, and I'm just coming in a little darker where I think there would be more shadow, which would be under her hair. And then I'm giving her some tight jaw lines. She's gonna look real cute and put together. So I finished coloring in now my second girl, her skin tone, and I'm gonna show her hair. So I'm gonna use cool grays. I was looking at photos and she has much more of like a bluey black hair, and I don't really have a blue black, so I thought cool grays were close enough. So I'm using CG9. And these are Olo markers. I know I didn't say that, but you can see on my marker that I'm using Olo markers. But I started with 9 as the darkest shade, and then I'm going to bring in 7 as the mid-tone. And I will finally bring in 5 to be kind of the lightest where I want the highlights of her hair to be. And then after that, we will move on to the hair of our purple-haired girl. And I'm going to use some violets to color in her hair. So while I'm finishing up her hair, I'm really excited to start my membership on my YouTube channel. It's going to be pretty small right now. I'm just going to work on getting you guys additional coloring videos, or if I cut something out of a video, just because I think it's going to make it too long, I will probably add that cut footage to my membership side. So if you're interested in more details on how I make my cards or coloring, you'll be able to find those videos on my membership. I'm also going to be working on getting a live stream set up for next year and do better about live streams. used to live stream on the first of every month with some friends, but life gets busy, our schedules don't always line up. So I wanted to try to live stream myself. So you'll be seeing that. And I'm just going to start as a membership only because I'm really nervous about live streaming. I don't know why. I think it's just because when you edit, you can edit out mistakes, or if I say something weird or take too long of a pause, I can edit it out when I'm doing my editing for my videos. So live streaming is just a little bit more intimidating for me, but I want to get better at lives and being able to chat with everyone. I also craft very quietly. So I think like that's going to be a hard learn for me, is to talk out loud while I'm doing things. Normally I have true crime on and I'm just, listening while I'm crafting. So this will be a good skill for me to learn. But I'm looking forward to doing that next year. Okay, so I finished with my violets for my last girl's hair. Now I'm going to move on to getting them their outfits done. So I accidentally colored the tag like ribbon in my girl's hair purple instead of leaving it for gold. So I brought out my gold, and I'm going to bring out silver as well. Pens from Pear Blossom Press, and I used my gold pen to fill in that tag on her hair, so it colored over my alcohol marker coloring. And I also used the gold on her earring and her sword. And I'm going to bring in silver for her necklace in a little bit. I'm going to use the same yellow color combinations for their more gold yellow on all their outfits. And I brought in some blue that I thought looked like denim for her shorts, and I used white for her shirt. And there I just colored in her necklace. For her shoes, they're black with a red stripe, so I'm going to bring in those cool grays again and keep it pretty dark to have it look like black without coloring it in with a black marker. And then I'll bring out my go-to red combination R0.5 and 0.4 to color in those red of her boots. I'm also going to bring in R0.3 and 0.2 to color in the cheeks. They look a little bit bold right now, but as the alcohol dries back, they're going to lighten up and it'll look more like a blush on her cheek rather than two pink spots. I'm bringing in that cool gray one. Again, I did that for the first girl's sword, and now I'm doing the knives for this girl. Brought in the gold to color in the ribbons of her knives as well as her bracelet. She wears kind of a tealishy blue top, so I thought I'd bring in some blue grays to color that in. It was a little light, so I'm going to bring in one more darker shade here just to darken the edges up a little. Her jeans have that gold yellow color, so I'm going to use that same yellow orange, the YO combination that I did for the purple haired girl's jacket for some of the area on her pants. I went with more of a yellow orange because it felt more gold to me, but they are pretty yellow in the movie, so I finished it off with that Y1.2 just to brighten it up a little bit more. I'm going to use the same blues, just a little bit darker for her pants. They're a little bit more navy blue than like a denim blue for the shorts that I did. So I'm just going to do a little bit darker combination of those B4s to color in her pants. Her shoes are also black but have a yellow sole, so I'll do that same black combination, CG9 and 7, to color in her shoes, and I'll bring back in those yellow oranges to color in the rest of her, the soles of her shoes. I'm using the same reddishy pink color for the lips of all of the girls, so I'll bring back in that R5.5 to color in her lips, and I'll do the same color combination for the cheeks. I'm going to do tip to tip this time, just trying to blend that a little better. You can already see on my purple haired girl, it's lightening up a lot. This girl wears some sick black boots, so same color combination, CG9 and 7 to color in the black boots. And then I'm going to bring in a red to be the little kind of details on her boots. I'm just going to do one color. Ours, oh no, I did two, 0.5 and 0.4 again. You can definitely do one color. It doesn't need that much detail. Her skirt is yellow, so I'll bring back in that YO 2.7 and 2.5 and 2.3, I believe. I'm going to see right now. Yes, 2.3 to color in her skirt, and then that Y 1.2 to brighten it up. For her shirt, she has a really cute like gray shirt, and it's a graphic tee, but I didn't really want to go into that detail, so I'm just going to use some cool grays, 5 and 3, to color in her shirt, give it that gray look. There's like a blue, I think there's like blue details on there, but I didn't want to get that nitty gritty in today's video, so gray shirt it is. I'm going to bring back in that CG1 to color in her weapon, and I will bring in that gold pen to add the gold details. For her gloves, I'm going to do CG7. She wears like little black fingerless gloves. And I didn't do the ties of her pigtails because I couldn't remember if she had like actual colored, rubber bands in her hair. But when I was trying to find pictures of her, I noticed that I think it was just like her hair's wrapped around the rubber bands in her hair. So I'm going to grab the darkest shade 2.7 to color the rest of her in. I have my two mythical creatures here, and I'm going to again, I will link down my membership video. If you're not a member, you can join, but I'm going to have those in a separate video. I'm using my VersaFine Clair in Nocturne, and I put my paper right back into my Misty in that same lower corner, and I'm going to stamp my images again with this VersaFine ink. It just really boldens. It makes them more bold, a little bit darker line, especially since I really need to re-ink my black ink pad for alcohol marker coloring. It just darkened them up. And I will go ahead and fussy cut out all of those images. Here they are. They look great. I love them. But let's work with these three, the Pop Trio, on a box card today. So I'm digging through my Kindred Stamps die sets. I pulled out a few different things. I'm not going to use everything, but I was just trying to play in my head what I wanted to do for my two cards today. So I'm only going to be showing the box card in today's video. I will show the simple card I made with my other critters in my membership video. But I have everything pulled out and I have everything linked down below, even for my membership video, in case you're interested in what I used. I'm going to start with some foiling. So I grabbed the Warp Speed hot foil plate and I'm going to foil it onto some white cardstock. I'm just going to cut this 8.5 by 11, this letter size sheet in half. And I'm going to grab some Prism foil from Spellbinders. And normally I just grab my little Spellbinders knife, but for some reason I thought it would just be faster to cut it. I don't think it was actually faster, but I'm going to use some scissors and just cut a large piece here to cover up the plate. And I'm going to have my Glimmer hot foil machine running off to the side and get that warmed up, and I will run that through my die cutting machine once it's done to press the plate into the paper to get a really pretty prism warp speed design. I grabbed my Kindred box card die and I'm cutting the base part out of some darker blue cardstock. Here you can see my foiling is complete. I didn't get a very perfect foil, but it works for what I'm doing. I still think it looks great. I think I just needed to adjust my shims a little when I ran it through my die cutting machine. I'm going to do a little bit of distressing onto this white cardstock. So I grabbed two different colors. I'm going to use the lighter prize ribbon in the middle of this design, and I'm going to darken the edges with chipped sapphire. So I'll start with adding that lighter blue in the middle, and then once I was happy with how much I had on my paper, I switched over to the darker blue and added that around the design. I'm going to go back and forth between the two and just really try to blend them together, make it look a little bit more seamless in between the lighter and the darker color until I'm happy. Once I'm happy with how much ink I have on my cardstock and the blend looks okay, I'm going to grab my microfiber cloth and I'm going to remove or clean up the ink that's on top of the foil. So I'm just gently rubbing the foiled areas, making sure to get off that excess ink and let that prism foil really shine with the blue background. I'm going to do a little bit of splattering. I grabbed a bunch of different watercolors that I have, and I'm going to use this purple watercolor from the Gem Color Pigments. So I've added some water to the pan, and I just have a small paintbrush here, and I'm going to splatter that over until I'm happy with how much purple is on the paper. And then I will grab my opal colors, and I'm going to do more of the kind of purpley color, I guess you could say. There's like a kind of a purple hint to the opal, and I added that as well. I was going to add a little bit of gold, but I thought we would just leave the shimmer of the foil as enough metallic shine. I patted up the excess water from the watercolor, and now I will do my die cutting. So I'm going to start with this largest stitch detail for the box card first. I want it to kind of highlight the around my pop trio, and then I use some of the excess on the pattern to die cut the stitch details for the rectangular pieces. Now I know the design doesn't go all the way to the edge of a couple of those die cuts, so I darkened up the edges with that same chip sapphire distress oxide, and I'm going to use those pieces on the inside of the box card where it's a lot harder to tell that the design doesn't go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to assemble my box card together using some 1/4" double-sided adhesive. This one is the Rip and Stick from Trinity Stamps, but I'm also going to use liquid adhesive. So I'm going to start with adding my side pieces of my box card to the back part. So I've got my first flap here, and I'm attaching that to what will be the left side of the box card when you're looking at it. And I'll repeat this process for the right side. And then I'm going to glue in my first stitch detail. It's going to be on the inside of the box card. It does kind of overlap with the flaps a little bit, so that's why I wanted to get those glued to the side first. And then I'm going to start with my first inside part of my box, and I glued on one of the ones where the design doesn't go all the way to the bottom. And I only added adhesive, like I didn't go all the way to the top. I wanted the box card piece to kind of pop out of the box a little, and I did the same for the other side. And then I'm attaching those to the right side. So I have them first attached to the left side of the box when you're looking at it, and then I added them to the right side. And I'm going back and forth, making sure that they are attached to both sides, and then I can bend the box card in either direction. For the final piece to close up the box, I trimmed off the side flaps, and I'm just gluing that rectangle onto the front of the box card. And then I'll glue the prettiest of the designs onto the front. So I feel like when you look at it, you can't really tell that those other two don't go all the way to the bottom too much. Now that the box card is assembled, I didn't do anything on the sides. I don't feel like it needed it. And also I ran out of foiling, so I couldn't decorate the sides the same anyway. And I die cut the stitch detail for the box card on the back out of some white cardstock. And I also die cut one of my sentiment strips. I believe it's the second size going from small to largest. And I did, again, both of those out of white cardstock, and I'm going to do some sentiment stamping using a couple sentiments from the same Pop Trio stamp set. I am doing It's Up, Up, Up to Us to Save the Day for the back of the box card, and You and Me Are Golden on that sentiment strip, which will go on the front of the box card. And I use that same Nocturne VersaFine Clair ink. I'll go ahead and start gluing these onto the card. Again, this will go on the back of the box card, so you have some room to write a little sentiment on the back and sign your name. And then I will add the sentiment strip to the front of the card. I'm going to add in my little trio now. So I'm going to glue the redheaded or pinky redheaded girl to the back on the right. So I'm going to glue her to the furthest back of the box card on the inside. And I'm having her on the right. If you look at a lot of the pictures from the movie, she's on the right, and then our girl with the knives is on the left of our purple-haired friend. So I'm just using that as inspiration on gluing these girls onto the box card. So I have my two on the furthest back one next to each other, and then I will glue my purple-haired girl onto the little step in my box card in front of it. Once I get all three on, that will finish off my box card. So here is a final look at how this turned out. I think they look so cute. I love the foiling, creating my own pattern paper, and the sentiments are just perfect for the card. I also did my card that you'll see in my member video with my two little mythical creatures. So let me go ahead and grab that one so you can see how that turned out, and if you're interested in checking out my other video. Here's how it turned out. I just did a very simple layout. I did some die cutting and added my critters to the front of the card, and I used the last sentiment from the stamp set. Here's one more look at how they turned out. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're grabbing from today's release from Kindred Stamps. I have to go shopping myself by the time this airs or goes up on YouTube. I can't wait to see, or not to see, but also purchase everything else and see what everyone has made as well. But let me know what you're getting down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!